What's up, A to Z Sports Live on a Tuesday, inching closer and closer to the NFL draft, and have a 3-round mock draft from ESPN and their top 2 draft analysts with the Titans making a second-round trade. The door has opened for the Titans to regain a third-round pick. We'll discuss what ESPN has the Titans doing with 3 picks in the first 3 rounds, 1 at 7, trading in the second round to gain a third rounder, and then what the haul is. And maybe it's missing a specific need the Titans might have. And then after we grade this 3-round mock draft from ESPN.com, we'll discuss what the Titans did not get in this mock and figure out just how big of a need is that missing piece in the 3-round mock. It is also Tuesday, which means throwing shade. Jason says it's Taco Tuesday for all who celebrate, but also throwing shade Tuesday at the end of the show. And Zach, you've been teasing a shade from last week that you skipped out on because of time that you can bring back today because it's going to be a whole thing, right? Is that what the plan was?
Yeah, this particular person's a real POS. That's all I'm going to tell you.
So this is personal.
It should be personal to everyone. I'll dive into it at the end of the show. I thought about it this morning. It makes my blood boil. We'll talk about that. Got a lot to get to. We are broadcasting live on 3 different platforms, including Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. So we got you covered there on those 3 platforms. Whether it's Facebook, YouTube, or Twitch, you can get locked in on Twitter as we tweet out link by link, segment by segment on our Twitter timeline at A to Z Sports. So we'll tweet out that YouTube link. On YouTube, and here's a good thing. On YouTube, subscribe, like, and ring the bell. If you subscribe, that helps the channel grow. If you like, that helps the channel grow as well and gather more community members within the chat. We need more opinions within YouTube. And then lastly, you got to make sure you ring the bell. That gives live alerts for our morning show and our primetime show at 8 p.m. with Buck Rising. And you need those live alerts because you don't know when exactly everything is going to happen as things transform over the next couple of weeks. So got a lot of moving pieces there on YouTube. Hit the like button, the subscribe button, and the bell button. Facebook, what's going on Facebook? Bottom left corner of your screen. Share now to public. Sharing is caring and caring is sharing, as they say on this show. So share the show around, and we need to pop up in your Facebook friends newsfeed. So let's get this party started on a Tuesday.
Yep, let's officially welcome into A to Z Sports, powered as always by the BetMGM app. I'm Austin Stanley. He is Zach Bingham, and we are Nashville's on-demand sports talk network, going live weekday mornings at 8 Central Time on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. Links to the show segment by segment on our Twitter X timeline. That's at A to Z Sports. And also hit us up on all of our other social media platforms, TikTok, Instagram, and Threads for more great Titans content. We got to thank our sponsors because they make it happen for us and they help all of you. Like Wilson County Hyundai, make them a part of your new car buying process. See them in Lebanon or online at wilsoncountyhyundai.com. The Bone and Joint Institute, boneandjointtn.org, the region's destination for comprehensive orthopedic and sports medicine care. Farm Bureau Health Plans, get better with Farm Bureau Health Plans. You get a quote today with our link, fbhp.com/ATOZ. And Krebs Kubota, an elite Kubota dealer with 3 great locations across the mid-states. They are in Columbia, Franklin, and Murfreesboro. Online, KrebsKubota.com. I do have something, Zach, before we dive into our mock draft topic. Speaking of the Bone and Joint Institute, there was a report yesterday from Paul Kaharski at his website about the injury update on Titans punter Ryan Stonehouse. We've been wondering for months and months of what this knee injury was that happened that got Craig Aukerman fired as the special teams coach in early December against the Indianapolis Colts at Nissan Stadium, where the second punt blocked of the day resulted in Stonehouse needing to get carted off with a knee injury to his plant leg. And Paul Kaharski reported yesterday a torn ACL, torn MCL, and a fractured bone in that left plant knee for Ryan Stonehouse. So what do we do when we have interesting injury updates? We do a doc talk. So Sam and I will have a Titans at 2 special edition doc talk this afternoon with one of the Bone and Joint Institute specialists one of their physical therapists, and how Ryan Stonehouse should be recovering from a combo knee ligament tear and a broken bone, a fractured bone in that plant knee. So that's 2 p.m. Central Time is when that will be up on Facebook and on YouTube. So check that out for our Doc Talk segment. Zach, I am fascinated because we've done ACL Doc Talks. We have not done a Doc Talk to date where there's 2 major ligaments torn in a knee and a fractured bone, uncharted territory. So I'm very intrigued to see where Ryan Stonehouse could be coming up this season.
Well, and you hope that he can get back to the trajectory that he was on, because it was pretty unbelievable that they had, Brett Kern for the number of years that they did, punting at a high level that helped a struggling offense at times. Most of the time, it felt like, except for a couple of years. And then you replace Brett Kern with Ryan Stonehouse that gets and earns the job. He's not given, right? Like, he earns that thing, and his net punt yards is out of this world. Like, he's doing a fantastic job. And then this unfortunate circumstance that was costly and cost Craig Aukerman his job, maybe deservingly so, because they can't block anybody, right? So you get your primetime punter not just hurt or injured, mangled. I mean, and I think that's where the curiosity from this Doc Talk, I think, stems from a lot of people, is like, can you get back to your old self and continue the road? I don't know. I don't know if anybody will know until we actually see Stonehouse punt in training camp and hopefully beginning of the season. I mean, what's the trajectory? I don't even know.
I don't know. And that's like, we're talking with one of the Bone and Joint Institute's physical therapists today, because the surgery's already happened. It's been 4+ months since the surgery for Stonehouse. So what's the timeline of recovery? And I think something, Deborah asked, is the broken bone in his knee or leg? It's the lower leg. And that's what we're going to talk about, is like, how does that play a factor into all this? And then also, the mental aspect of the recovery, because Ryan Stonehouse is going to have that plant leg exposed on every single time he does his job, right? Every single time Ryan Stonehouse does his job, when he comes back, that plant leg that's had, 2 torn ligaments is going to be exposed right there for anybody trying to come do their job and block that punt. So we'll find out how that is. King VC, yes, the Doc Talk is today. Coming up 2 p.m. Central Time is when we'll have that out with the Bone and Joint Institute Doc Talk with Ryan Stonehouse's knee injuries, plural. Shout out to Paul Kaharski for getting that news yesterday morning. But Zach, now on to our main topic of the day, which is a new Titans mock draft. That's a 3-round mock draft from ESPN.com that opens the door for a second-round trade for the Titans in this draft. And this is done by both Field Yates and Mel Kiper Jr., who go through and they flip odds and evens picks. Mel Kiper Jr.'s got the odds. Field Yates has the evens. The good thing is you got a little bit of both of these guys picking players for the Tennessee Titans and a trade. So, Zach, let's go ahead and dive into the moves that were made by Mel Kiper Jr. and Field Yates in this draft that goes 3 rounds. And the Titans do get their 3rd-round draft pick back with a 2nd-round trade. So it's chalk at the top with Mel Kiper taking Joe Alt 7th overall. And we don't need to spend much time analyzing that. We've been over that scenario a lot over the last couple of months. Then in the 2nd round, Field Yates is on the clock at 38th, but he makes a trade with a team we talked about yesterday, and that is Bo Nix and the Giants, moving up from 47 because the Giants had a later 2nd-round pick than their regular slotted draft pick, which is ahead of the Titans, but their 2nd-round pick is at 47. They move up to 38 to get quarterback Bo Nix. The Titans get number 47 and the Giants' 3rd-round pick at 70, which is a high 3rd-round pick. That is right around where the Titans' original 3rd-round pick would have been that they gave away to Arizona for Will Levis. And then with the 47th overall pick, you've got Adisa Isaac, edge rusher at Penn State. And the 70th overall pick, Field Yates comes back and takes Junior Colson, local product, Ravenwood High School, national champion, leader of that Michigan defense as an inside linebacker at 70. So, Zach, I'll let you react a little bit to the trade aspects of this mock, because we talked a lot yesterday about which quarterback would be their Knicks or Penix for maybe the Titans have the ability to move back in the second round to regain the third round pick, which is exactly what Field Yates did for the Titans here.
And it's unique because if the Giants aren't taking a quarterback in the first round, because they're obviously taking a quarterback in the second round, that's what the trade is. How do the Titans get Joe Alt, right? So, I mean, that there's nuance to this.
Well, you want me to pull up the full mock?
Yeah, I would, because now that would be my initial question is, I mean, my number one concern is the Titans drafting Joe Alt. If Titans draft Joe Alt, I'm a happy camper. I think that's a good pick. It's a great value pick.
Right,
that means that they've got a hopefully a generational talent on the left side of the offensive line, which they've struggled for a number of years.
Yes. So picks 1 through 6, where the Titans take Joe Alt at 7, Bears, Caleb Williams, Commanders, Jaden Daniels, Patriots, Drake May, Cardinals, Marvin Harrison Jr. Trade. Vikings move up with the Los Angeles Chargers and take J.J. McCarthy at 5. Giants at 6, Malik Neighbors. So there you go. It's Malik Neighbors at 6, which gives the Titans Joe Alt at 7. And now the Giants are moving up with the Titans in the second round to get quarterback Bo Nix to throw to Malik Neighbors, because wide-eyed Daniel Jones might have some issues, keeping that job long-term. But there's your answers. Malik Neighbors is the 6th overall pick by the Giants.
Okay, so that makes a little bit more sense. I don't know if that's how the draft is going to shake out, but that's why you have 58 million mocks in this world. I saw another mock this morning that I think is intriguing because it's all about that J.J. McCarthy, right? I mean, I think J.J. McCarthy going in the top 10, really top 7, that is a deciding factor of how this thing is going to shake out. He is the X factor. So I like Joe Alt. I like the mock draft right there. So that kind of gives me a thumbs up to start. I think then you shift down to say the Titans don't have a third round pick. Now you're moving back to gain one of those, but there's value in a top 10 of the second round, right?
Mm-hmm.
But that's why you're there. They've taken advantage of a needy team wanting to get a quarterback. And I guess, going through that, they've selected Bo Nix, and they think that is the guy to maybe cement Daniel Jones if he's not going to be around, which I think most people feel like he's not going to be around for that long. I think now you go to the selections, right? The selections goes edge rusher and middle linebacker. Now, I will say this. I like Junior Colson. I think that is a good pick. Like I can get on board there with that pick. It's a team need. You fill a hole, and you're not drafting Rashaan Evans in the first round to fill it. That didn't fill it very good for those number of years. So, I think that's a value pick. You get a team leader, which that is the type of position that you need, and you're building around a better secondary, and you hope that a better secondary than you've had in a number of years. Still have needs to replace Kevin Byard, right? That is obvious. The defensive line is intact, right? Around Jeffrey Simmons, Harold Landry, and Arden Key. But, what do those pieces look like long-term? I think that's kind of where the edge rusher. So, conceptually, I'll say this. I don't hate it. I don't think I'm in love with it. I'm in love with the Joe Alt pick. I like that. But I don't know if I'm in love with this mock out of the 58 million mocks that we see. And look, we got plenty of more mocks on the horizon because it's only April 16th with about a week and a half left.
Yep, that's exactly correct. 9 days until draft day. So 10 more days of mock draft content before the clock strikes 7 p.m. Central Time on Thursday, the 25th. So let's ask this question now. How do you grade this 3-round mock draft from Field Yates and Mel Kiper Jr.? This is a rotational mock draft from not just everybody's want to hate on Mel Kiper Jr. for being wrong all the time, which is the nature of mock drafters. but you get 2 decisions by Kiper and 2 decisions by Field Yates and 3 players selected. Kiper goes Joe Alt. Field Yates trades a 38th pick to the Giants. Kiper takes Adisa Isaac, edge rusher out of Penn State at 47. And then Field Yates comes back and gets Junior Colson from Michigan, inside linebacker, at 70th overall, with the 2 picks from the Giants at 47 and 70. So how do you grade this mock draft from both Field Yates and Mel Kiper Jr. of ESPN.com? We'll get to all of your grades here in a second. But, Zach, first tell us all about our friends at Farm Bureau Health Plans.
FBHP.com/A to Z is where to go. Health, dental, and vision. You can get free teeth cleanings. You can get a contact lens allowance that I have because I've worn contacts for a number of years. They've got your perfect health plan. You've just got to go seek it out. 200 plus locations across the state of Tennessee. They've got multiple agents across the state. So if you are a Tennessean, this could be your perfect health plan. It was my perfect health plan a number of years ago. I saved over 20% per month on my monthly fee, and I got a better plan. They've been in business over 75 years. They're trusted by the teams like the Tennessee Titans and Tennessee Volunteers. You see their partnerships. They have a partnership with A to Z Sports, and we love our partnership over at Farm Bureau Health Plans. It truly can help you. That is why we endorse them. That is Farm Bureau Health Plans of Tennessee, FBHP.com/ATOZ.
And you always know BetMGM, it is draft season. Joe Alt -120 to be the 7th overall pick. That's a heavy favorite right there for that first round pick. But you can win big with BetMGM by using our bonus code ATOZ Sports to get up to $1,500 back in bonus bets if your first bet misses. So take advantage of the best first bet offer out there for any new users looking to join BetMGM. We've been partnering with BetMGM for going on year 4 right now, talking about Farm Bureau Health Plans. BetMGM's been a great partner with us, just like Farm Bureau Health Plans. So check it out with our bonus code ATOZ Sports for up to $1,500 back in bonus bets if your first bet misses. Visit BetMGM.com for terms and conditions. 21 or older, Tennessee only. New customer offer. All promotions, subject to qualification, eligible requirements. First online real money wager only. Rewards issued eligible bonus bets. Bonus bets expire 7 days. And for problem gambling sport, call Tennessee Redline 800-889-9789. Zach, I'll show the mock draft haul once again from Mel Kiper Jr. and Field Yates of ESPN.com. 3 picks in the first 3 rounds. A trade as well. We want to grade this 3-round mock from the Titans. Kiper takes Alt at 7. Field Yates trades 38 to the Giants. Kiper takes Adisa Isaac, Penn State edge rusher, at 47. And then Junior Colson, inside linebacker from Michigan, goes 70th overall. Grades in the chat. Zach, what are they saying?
Well, Bobby Lee doesn't like it to start. Bobby says F. Titans Kyle goes B+. LC Oliver goes B. Willie Madden goes C. B+ from Clayton Smith. Hello, ladies. Likes it with an A. Our guy King VC goes B+. Hashtag QJ says B-. B from Rashid. B only because of Alt from Scott. Lou Man doesn't like it. He goes D-. Ethan and Jared both go C. Dylon goes B+. Darius goes B+. 10 goes B. C+ from Rooney. We've got B coming in here from Cost66. Jody with a B-. Hashtag goes C. Brad Anderson with a B. Couple of C's coming in here. Big Ten Jeff says C. Still no wide receiver, which we'll talk about later on in the show. Titans can't keep drafting wide receivers on day 3. So Big Ten Jeff acting a little bit like Big Ten Miss Cleo, as we'll dive into that topic here very shortly. Stevie says C. I'm not drafting offensive tackle at 7, so he's out on Alt at 7. I don't know who Stevie thinks is going to protect the quarterback, but that's his opinion. Pistol Ramsey,
you're going to get a top
F.
top 5 player at the draft at 7 if it's Joe Alt at 7.
F on any mock draft from the national media out of the 58 million. Corey goes C. B+ from Nevermind Titan. Jonathan goes 78. So 78 would be, let's see, different grading scale. Back in my day, it was a D was a 70 That would have been
78 C plus in my,
no,
well, are you talking
69
college
is
or
an
high
F.
school? See, it was 65 and below was an F.
See, 69 was an F.
Okay.
You had to get a 70 for a D. 75.
I knew like A. Well, A was like a 93 to 100, right? And then you get
I couldn't tell you, and that wasn't in my domain.
You weren't in the A range.
I wasn't really concerned about the 90s or the 93s. So but I do know that 69 is an F because it's not that nice, and that's hard. That's a hard combo with the parents sitting down on the couch saying, "Why did you get a 69?" And be like, "Well, I thought it was nice." But it's not. It's an F. It's a failed grade. So 78 is like I would say a C plus. I think 80, you had to get a B for where we were.
Okay.
Different grading scale.
Yeah.
That's where Jonathan's going.
Yes, for sure. At Ole Miss, it was just pass or fail, right? That's how they did it there.
That was, I think it was similar. I think 68. I think they gave you a point. Man, I don't know. I'm so far removed. I'm not playing that 69-70 game anymore. So no. I think majority we've got B minus, B minus. I said B coming in from Jay and Patrick, and then you've got some C's trickling in. I think I'm right there with the chat. It's a B. It's a B to a B plus. So I'll stick with B. I like the Joe Alt pick. I love the Joe Alt pick. That makes me happy. That means that you're addressing what you need at the highest priority, and you're still sticking and picking, right? So you're getting a player that, assuming this is Austin, I'll sit here. I love the Joe Alt pick because now I think you've got somewhat the trajectory of a dominant left side of your offensive line. You could even say middle to left side with the addition of center of Cushenberry. So I'm at a B. I also like the middle linebacker selection because that is a team need. Now, look, you've got two defensive players out of the three, Joe Alt being the offensive player. I'm a little bit torn because I haven't thought about how I truly feel about edge rusher in the mid-second round because that's kind of what you've traded back for. You no longer have a top 10 second-round pick. You're going to have to replace Arden Key, right? And Harold Landry is very, 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 very expensive. Now, big-time edge rushers are very, very, very expensive. I guess I'll probably, I think that's where I'm at. I don't know what I feel about that edge rusher mid-second. Okay. So he's got to be a banger, and you have an opportunity to get a banger at the top of the second.
All right, so, but then you add Junior Colson because
I'm at a B.
So you're at a B. You're at a B. So I'll tell you a little bit about Adisa Isaac from what I've learned about him because there are two Penn State edge rushers in this draft: Adisa Isaac and Chop Robinson. Chop Robinson is going to be a first-round pick. He's got all the traits in the world. He looks like Superman. He's quick. He's fast. He tested out of this world. But the problem with Chop Robinson is he only had 4 sacks last season, and 2 of them came against UMass. UMass sucks. So there's that. So he only had 2 sacks against the 11 other games that he played in against actual competition that's not UMass. But he's got all these testing traits. Then you have Adisa Isaac, who is not a good tester, did not look very great when the pro day and combine and other pre-draft process situation on the field, but he was actually productive. He had 7.5 sacks last year, and he's got a good set of tape. The Titans ranked 31st in the NFL in sacks per dropback last season. So second to last in sacks per dropback last season. Harold Landry came on strong. That's a good thing. Arden Key is a rotational piece, and that's what he needs to be. So you're looking for another edge rusher to be a full-time type player, and I think Adisa Isaac is somebody who can come in day one, fill a need to where you have Landry playing his 90% of the snaps that he's always played. And then you've got Isaacs and Key that are rotating at the other spot, and Rashad Weaver is your fourth piece to kind of mix in where you might need him. So I think Adisa Isaac makes sense for what the Titans need. He's productive. Draft prospects or draft analysts are always saying, what do you do with the freak athlete that wasn't productive in college, right? If you're not productive in college, how are you going to be all of a sudden be productive in the NFL? I think you have to be, if you can't get sacks against guys that are working other jobs after college football, then what are you going to do of trying to rush the passer with guys that are professional offensive linemen?
Like Rutgers?
Can't
get sacks against Rutgers?
Yeah. Yes.
Now, Rutgers did have a dual threat quarterback who's tough to get down, but they weren't very good.
But like, how are you going to sack an NFL quarterback against an NFL offensive lineman when you can't sack a college quarterback against a guy doing something other than sports, right? Like the whole NCAA go pro in something other than sports. So that's where Chop Robinson's kind of an iffy thing, but Isaacs is the more trustworthy, I think, prospect, but maybe a lower ceiling. So that's Adisa Isaacs in a nutshell. So for my grade, I'm going to set a baseline of grading the Titans draft. If the Titans get either Joe Alt, Malik Neighbors, or Roma Dunze at 7th overall, it's automatically a B. No lower than a B. If they get one of those three guys, that's my baseline, because I think you've got a player.
The overall draft?
I think yes. For this conversation,
you're not. You can't be teaching, son.
No, I think because
I don't disagree with that, but for the it definitely set the tone. But you can go. That doesn't mean that you've had a superb draft just because your first round pick you like.
But if you get a guy,
you could have liked Corey Davis back in the day. I didn't necessarily think it was a great draft.
But
you could have loved Corey Davis and Adoree Jackson. That didn't work out.
I did love Adoree Jackson. Corey Davis, and everybody had questions
Jackson
on those.
Couldn't do half the crap that they said he was going to do.
I know. Again, that's another Craig Aukerman had his impact on Adoree Jackson real early. Okay, overall, but again, I think if you get one of those three guys at 7, a B, because I think you've got a day one
higher. No, I think you start now. I would correct you a little bit. You start at an A, okay, but you can work your way down, right? Because these lesser picks in the other rounds, you're gonna have a questionable pick. You're not gonna love every single pick that they have. So, that's where it starts. And then it goes down. If you don't like your first round pick or you're questioning your first round pick, that's where it starts lower.
I think I automatically give the Titans a B if they get Alt, Neighbors, or Dunze, because that is a second contract starter who is an impact player at a key position that again, you're in the top 7. You're in the top 10 for the first time since 2016. And if you get a guy who's going to be here for a while, who's going to be a reliable player to either save your quarterback's ass or score touchdowns from your quarterback, then I'm saying a B. That is a B. Now,
what if they take Roma Dunze over Joe Alt?
Then I believe Brian Callahan likes, because Roma Dunze's comp is Jamar Chase.
So you're okay with that?
Yeah. I'm okay with that. Because there's you got to take a tackle in the second round, and
God bless.
But I do I'm being serious.
Don't draft Raidens 2.0.
Now my power ranking of these that I've been clear on is Neighbors, Alt, Odunze. So Odunze would be the third, but I think it's a B if you get one of those three guys at 7th overall. Now, can you add to it?
You cannot take Roma Dunze over Joe Alt. That would be a travesty, and you could not sit there and say what a great pick. So I think you're pressing a little bit, Austin. If you got the choice between Joe Alt and Roma Dunze, I definitely think Malik Neighbors and Joe Alt is a tougher pick. I still pick Joe Alt, but Roma Dunze is just a little bit lower. You said it yourself last week. 1A, 1B was Marvin Harrison Jr. I can't believe you said this, but Marvin Harrison Jr. and Malik Neighbors. Now you're saying you're okay with Roma Dunze over Joe Alt?
Yeah, I would be okay with it. Like, again, I told you my preferences, Neighbors, Alt, Adunze, but I still feel like Adunze is a really damn good player that the Titans can draft, and you can, and again, we're learning about what this new staff wants to be, what they want to do. And if Adunze is it, Adunze is your DeAndre Hopkins replacement a year from now, and you got Calvin Ridley and Rome Adunze. And I like that a lot.
But Will Levis is rolled up on.
Well, again,
He's
you
just
got the
going to
guy
get
that made
hurt.
it work. You got the guy that made it work with Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase over Penei Sewell. Like, they made it work. And now you have Bill Callahan where the Bengals didn't. So again, like, there's reasons. So again, I think for this particular draft class of Alt, I started a B. Then the trade back. I like the fact that they got a third round pick. I think you could flip Colson and Isaacs. If they took Colson at 47 and Isaacs at 70, I'd feel the exact same way as I do right here. I don't think Junior Colson's going to be available at 70 overall. Maybe he is. Guys always drop because not everybody can go in the second round. Not everybody can go in the first round, obviously. But I think overall with this class, Junior Colson is more of a grade mover than Adisa Isaacs, in my opinion. So I settle at a B plus for this. A B plus, which is basically Isaacs is a wash. He doesn't move the grade at all. I keep it at a B, but Junior Colson at 70th overall, I make that a B plus for my grade for what ESPN.com did right there with those three selections. So a B plus with Alt, Isaac, and Colson.
Yeah, there's value in it. There's value in an additional pick, like you're sitting there through 3 rounds right now only with 2 picks. Now all of a sudden you have 3 players, and the only justification I think that we've ever said is that you get rid of your top 10 second round pick by trading for a team that is quarterback needy, right? Yep. Because if they are quarterback needy, one would assume they're willing to give up more draft capital. And if you can take advantage of a needy team trying to get their quarterback, like, let's just call it what it is. Last year, the Titans did. They gave up, and they wanted to give up more, right? They wanted to give up more to get in the first round, and they had to settle with giving up some to get in the top of the second round to draft Will Levis. But that, I think, that makes these trades easier if it's for a quarterback. If the team is trading for a QB, and in this case, it's Bo Nix. I want to say this because, and shout out to Andre, because Andre, this is my grading scale of how I grew up. You have a 69 and below, F, failed. Sorry, fail, summer school, whatever. 70 to 75 was a D. That's correct. 76 to an 83 was a C. 84 to 92 was a B. And 93 and up was an A. That's correct. So I'm going to give, we didn't have B pluses or any of that BS. It was just stone cold letters. All right. You are what you are. I would give this, in this scenario, I would probably give it an 80. We'll go an 87, right? That's where that's where my B number is for this mock draft. And Joe Alt is a big lifter of this with this mock draft. So shout out Andre for the grade scale.
With Andre and Zach's grading scale, a different A to Z grading scale, I will put my B plus as a 90. I think Joe Alt is that good and that important of a draft pick, and then Junior Colson bumps it up another half letter to a B plus for me. Okay, I did put up a poll on YouTube to figure out how the chat really felt about this as Zach read through some of your comments. I asked, how do you grade this ESPN 3-round mock for the Titans? And I went A range, B range, C range, D through F. 9% D through F range. 17% A range. C range, 21%, and B range, an overwhelming 53% of the votes say a B range for this draft class. So I think, pretty consensus. That's a high majority to go along. We're both in the B range. the YouTube chats in the B range, and it seemed like the Facebook group was around the same way too.
Yep, and Titans fans are going to like the top of this draft because they got a number 7 overall pick. I think where Titans fans get disrupted is if they trade back and they don't get Neighbors, Odunze, or Alt, which is 2 sexy picks in wide receiver, or the pick you actually need in Joe Alt.
Now, there's also consequences in this mock draft from trading back from 38 because there's a lot of comments on no wide receiver. Where's the wide receiver in these top 3 picks? I'll tell you the consequences the Titans missed out on by making that trade with the Giants in this mock draft. But first, I want to tell you guys all about our great friends at the Bone and Joint Institute, boneandjointtn.org, the region's destination for comprehensive orthopedic and sports medicine care. Whenever an injury happens in life, you have to know where you can go and who you can trust. And the Bone and Joint Institute is who you should go to because they've got all the experts and the resources under one roof in Franklin, Tennessee. They also have clinics across Williamson County and growing Brentwood, Nolensville. They've also got Columbia and more coming too in the up and coming months here. boneandjointtn.org. We also have a doc talk coming up with one of their physical therapists about the Ryan Stonehouse knee injury that was reported yesterday. So that'll come out at 2:00 Central Time on Facebook and in YouTube today with the Bone and Joint Institute. So get ready for that Ryan Stonehouse doc talk. boneandjointtn.org.
Izzy Sports, we are powered by BetMGM. Download that BetMGM app today. Use the bonus code ATOZ Sports. It's ATOZSPORTS, all one word. Ball night tonight because you got the play-in game. You got LeBron and Steph and Sabonis. Don't forget about Sabonis and overweight Zion Williamson. Zion is tough to watch. I don't know how he scores 30 points, all layups or dunks, but you're going to see the Pelicans and the Lakers and the Golden State Warriors and the Kings got good NBA basketball. Get in on the action with BetMGM and download the app today in your Apple or Android app store.
All right, so the Titans traded back with the Giants from 38 to 47. They also got the 70th overall pick, and everybody's saying, where's the wide receiver? Where's the wide receiver? So, Zach, I went through the picks in the first 6 picks that got Joe Alt to 7. Here are the top of the second round and the notable, well, I guess going back to the end of the first round of the wide receivers that go off the board after the top 3. So Brian Thomas, top 20 pick. Then you got Xavier Worthy at 23. Then A.D. Mitchell from Texas at 28 and Xavier Leggett from South Carolina at 32. Now you get more wide receivers. Wide receivers that go before the Titans traded back to 47. Keon Coleman. Then you have the Titans trade. Ladd McConkey. Malachi Corley from Western Kentucky. Ricky Pearsall from Florida. And Jalen Polk from Washington. So that's really the entire second crop of wide receivers are gone between 38 and 47. Because you could have gotten McConkey, Pearsall, Corley, or Polk at 38, but you missed out on all of them by just trading back 9 spots. And so that's where you get, you don't want to reach on Jalen McMillan out of Washington or, Troy Franklin, who's a little raily thin. And then you go to Roman Mitchell out of Michigan. That would be a reach at 47. But that's what the Titans would miss out on if they trade back at 38 too far and they miss on that second wide receiver crop. Now, ESPN's Matt Miller, Zach, went on with Ramon, Kayla, and Will on 104.5 The Zone yesterday and talked about the perceived depth of this overall wide receiver class.
The drop-off of wide receiver talent this year is pretty stark. Like in the top 100 players ranked, I have 19 wide receivers.
Ooh.
In the next 100 players, I only have 12. So there's a big drop-off. And in the 7th round even, like this is a shallow pool of talent at wide receiver. So everybody here is like, oh, this is one of the best wide receiver classes of all time. That's true, but that's at the top of the board. That's not, in round 5, 6, 7. So, in round 4, Jermaine Burton from Alabama is a really talented player. He's been a little bit of a headache for them at that program. So you have to know, okay, are we willing to take on, a little bit of a player that we're going to have to stay on a little bit for the talent. Luke McCaffrey, coming out of Rice. Really, really good slot receiver, pretty new to the position after being a quarterback early in college. He's someone that I would have my eye on. And I think with the Titans, and we even heard this a little bit last week, like they need that slot receiver. Like counting on Traylon Burks at this point, we all know that you can't do that. So Luke McCaffrey, Jamari Thrash from Louisville, Taj Washington from USC, those would be really talented guys for that role in rounds 4 or 5 to where you can get some of that value. I don't know that this is the year where you necessarily wait until round 7. I know they had 2 picks there. And, like, sure, you want to take a swing on a receiver who has, like, you know, outstanding measurables in round 7, you should do that. But let's not count on that player. You know, even rounds 4 and 5, I tell fans all the time, like, hey, I might really like this player you got in round 4 or 5. There's a reason they're there. Like, those aren't players you're expected to count on. Think of those as depth pieces for 4 years. If they rise above that, you're winning at that point.
So there's Matt Miller from ESPN, the other draft analyst. We've been going through the Mel Kiper and Phil Yates mock from ESPN.com, but 19 receivers in the top 100, just 12 in the second 100, and it becomes thin. And we're talking about this Titans mock where they go Joe Alt, edge rusher, linebacker in the top 70. They don't pick again until 106, and already a bunch of receivers off the board before 47. Now there's no wide receiver there. They're going to have to wait until at least 106 to draft the wide receiver, and we've seen how that's played out. You wait into the 4th round, and you get Des Fitzpatrick. You wait all of a sudden until the 7th round, and you get Colton Dowell. But you're not counting on Colton Dowell, right? And you understand that from what Matt Miller said. But, Zach, what was your takeaway from the drop-off of that cliff of it's a really good class, but it's top-heavy?
I think and then this has always been my struggle all offseason. Brian Callahan speaks like he needs a wide receiver, right? I mean, at least I feel that a little bit, especially what he's coming from at Cincinnati. But you look at the roster and how much does he understand what they currently have? You know what you have in Calvin Ridley and DeAndre Hopkins, right? I mean, you know what that is. That they've put enough on film and you can understand, you're paying them enough money. You understand what that is. DeAndre Hopkins only has 1 more year left to go in his contract. And then you have the other guys, right? And so I think I go back, and Austin, it's pretty simple. I was going to kind of wait till we ask the question, but I'm just going to say it. How much do you question / hate Traylon Burks and Kyle Phillips? Like that, ultimately, that question, if you're in a room and they are in plenty of rooms before they get into the war room and they sit there and they diagnose, Rand Carthon's been around both of those guys in injury-riddled seasons last year and getting into this offseason. But you have to ask yourself, how much do you question Traylon Burks and Kyle Phillips? Because if you adamantly question both of their skill sets, ability to stay on the field, catching ability, yak, all of the above, then you have to draft a wide receiver. If you still think that the relationship isn't dead, that you're going to give it one more go, that you're going to reconcile, and that maybe they could be that love that hasn't worked out in the first couple of years, then maybe you don't need to draft a wide receiver. Because as Matt Miller says, and if you look at the draft, it's true. There's a drop-off. There is a cliff. And once you get to that cliff, don't go fishing for the big tuna. Don't go for the little fish. The little fish are late in the draft. And those value, I mean, you said it. We've seen it time and time again. So how much do you question, you being the Tennessee Titans, question Traylon Burks and Kyle Phillips? Yeah. Because you have guys on the roster. NWI, you signed him. I mean, he is what he is.
Let's go to Brian Callahan, because Sam asked Brian Callahan last week, what are you looking for to add in your wide receiver room that you don't have already? And here's how Brian Callahan took that open-ended question.
Wide receivers, after adding Calvin to that group, how open are you to still adding to that room? And are there any skill sets or traits in particular that you feel like you might currently be lacking?
No, I think you're always open to add a note to those spots. I mean, we have to have someone emerge for us at the slot position receiver when we're in 11 personnel. That's one that we got some young players I'm excited to take a look at. with obviously Kyle Phillips. Mason Kinsey's been around here a little bit. He's shown his mettle. Obviously, Nick Westbrook Akine has been involved in some of those spots over his career. So trying to find someone to merge in that spot. You got guys that you're trying to always build youth and depth as well. And so those things are in constant flux. You're always trying to have another guy ready to roll. You need depth at every position. That's not just the receivers, but you're always open to those guys. And again, guys that are fast, explosive, and physical, you can't have enough of them.
Traylon Burks' name was not mentioned when the head coach offered up 3 other names without being asked about specific names. He was asked about skill sets. And Traylon Burks get a lot of production. I think Jack had the stat last week that Traylon Burks' snap percentage in the slot in college was around 70%. And that was a slot answer for Brian Callahan, and Burks was not mentioned. And so it goes into I think, we'll get to this question in a second about, where the Titans got to get a receiver. Andre asked how many of those 19 receivers are in the top 50, because Matt Miller says he has 19 receivers in the top 100 and then just 12 receivers in 101 through 200. Zach, I just added up in that ESPN mock between Yates and Kuiper. 12 receivers went in the top 46. That's 7 in the first round, and then 5 in the first 13 picks of the second round. That's insane. And so it's top heavy.
Well,
it's that whole thing.
I had 2 things. That's what the league is, and all of the running backs that got all the money in free agency was because this draft is not a good running back draft, right? So those are 2 key offensive positions that score touchdowns, right? And the tight end position is not super deep. Brock Bowers is that dude, but
that's it.
This is a passing league, and Austin, this is a passing draft.
So removing quarterbacks from this draft, 64 picks in the first 2 rounds, 12 receivers, 1 running back, 1 tight end. That is insane when you think of it that way. In the first 64 picks, 12 receivers, 1 running back, 1 tight end, 6 quarterbacks. So that is, not a ton of offensive touchdown scores in 64 picks. Especially when it comes to the running back and tight end. So, look, I think it is time to get to this question here. Is wide receiver a must-draft position for the Titans in the top 3 rounds? I think that's where we really need to narrow this thing down. Is wide receiver a must-draft position for the Titans in the first 3 rounds of this draft? Because that is where the quality really sits. But first, let me tell you guys all about Krebs Kubota. Talk about 3 rounds for wide receivers. How about 3 great locations for Krebs Kubota in the mid-state? That is Columbia, Franklin, and Murfreesboro. They're online at KrebsKubota.com. They have a great relationship with the Kubota national brand, which makes them an elite Kubota dealer, meaning they have the best equipment and the best warranties in the industry that you can find. It's officially spring. It's going to be hot today, which means you've got projects to do outside your home, outside your commercial property as well. If you need to buy new equipment, whether that's a mower, any type of mower for any type of yard situation you may have, a new trimmer, or the big stuff for the power units and implementations and applications across that bigger property, Krebs Kubota has the equipment and the people to make it happen for you to either buy or rent said equipment. Once again, 3 great locations across the mid-state, Columbia, Franklin, and Murfreesboro. They're online at KrebsKubota.com.
A to Z Sports, we are powered by BetMGM. Download the BetMGM app today. Use that bonus code ATOZ Sports. They're the king of the sports book. If you go to your Apple or Android app store, you type in BetMGM, you sign up, you're a new user. Make sure you use that bonus code ATOZ Sports. You got tons of action to bet on tonight.
Is wide receiver a must-draft position for the Titans in the first 3 rounds of the draft? We just talked through it in this 3-round ESPN mock. 12 receivers in the first 46 picks for the NFL draft. And the Titans, do they need somebody? Is it a must in the first 3 rounds, knowing that they're going to go into this thing as of now with only 7 and 38 in the top 100 picks, and they don't pick again until 106? So, Zach, I'll send you the chat, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. By the way, like button is big. We'll get to some super chats where King VC, king of the likes so far this week. Hit that like button while you're at it. Zach, what are people saying, yes or no, about must draft a wide receiver in the top 3 rounds?
Michael says absolutely. JR goes no. Lou Man says yes. IR goes no. Yes, for sure from Nick. Curtis also says yes. Willie with a yes. Autumnal Shots says no, it's not. Lou Man says yes. That's 2 guesses from Lou Man, so we'll only count one of them. Absolutely from our guy King VC. Let's see. Yes times 3 from our guy Andre. Offensive line is a must from Duran. Gary says yes. Yes from Caleb. Yes from Brad. Apollo says yes. No from Titans. Kyle. Chris Frazier says yes. Coming in yeses from NM, Jake, Big Ten Jeff, Matt. Not a must as offensive line and left tackle from Michael Snyder. No from Patrick Bird. 4th, 7, yes. Need to draft at least one. Ka says hell yes. Let's see here. We've got no from Orion, no from Borkington, but top 4, yes. So he's kind of slotted in that. Titans only have 2 picks in the first 3 rounds right now. So you have to take consideration. Brian says no. I think the majority is saying yes, but there are some no's. I'll answer mine. And okay. Anthony, our age game champion, back-to-back, says nothing is a must. Everything is fluid, especially for a team with lots of holes. So I'm not going to say nothing is a must because offensive line is a must. They have to draft. I mean,
in the first 3 rounds, yes, they have to get an offensive lineman. Right.
That is a must. But I am with the no's in this chat. I don't think that you have to draft a wide receiver. I think that your wide receiver room is, let's say, aplenty, but I go back to my question is, can Kyle Phillips and Treylon Burks do anything? And if you think that they can do something or that they have a chip on their shoulder, or Treylon Burks, I mean, his career is on the line. And he's still under contract. He's only played 2 years. So he at least has 2 more years left to go on his contract. And I hate to say this, but I'm at least willing to hitch my wagon to the experimentation of Burks and Phillips for 1 more year. And next year I can draft a wide receiver. Once DeAndre Hopkins, if he doesn't re-sign for a short-term contract again, he's probably going to go elsewhere after next year. So you can then draft a wide receiver. And every year in today's football, there will be wide receivers that have value. So I think in the 1st and 2nd round, there are more wide receivers in this draft in the 1st and 2nd round. Don't get me wrong. I agree with that. But every year, because of what the college football game has become, you're going to find good, talented wideouts in the 1st and 2nd round. And I'm okay with looking at next year and riding with, because I see more value in other places, especially offensive line. So my answer overall is no, it is not a must.
So I think wide receiver is a must in the first 3 rounds for the Titans. I think offensive line is a must in the first 3 rounds for the Titans. If the Titans are only going to pick twice on Thursday and Friday combined, one has to be a tackle, one has to be a receiver. That's
what about middle linebacker and safety?
There's not a bona fide. The safety free agent market is good enough to this point to get one after the draft once you see how day 3 plays out. And here's the overall answer of why I say this. Because the Titans should not be drafting for 2024. They should be drafting for 2024 through 2027. That's where they need to have their minds on. And I think offensive line, the tackle, and the wide receiver position is going to be the most impactful spot they can add in the top 100 with their only 2 picks in those top 100 for those 4 consecutive seasons. Because I don't disagree with your thought on Burks and Phillips or what's going to happen, but just like Matt Miller said,
dead to you?
I'm not counting on him. No, I mean, so is he dead to me? No, but he's close.
But no,
I'm not going to rely on
Austin. If you draft a wide receiver in the first 2 rounds, he's dead to you. So that's where your actions and your words don't
not
make
necessarily.
sense.
Not necessarily, because
yes, necessarily. Where is he going to play?
Zach, they play a lot of receivers. Like, receivers can get snaps, especially in Brian Callahan's off. This is not Mike Vrabel running 2 wide receiver sets and having only 4 active wide receivers on game day. This is Brian Callahan, who runs 11 personnel, which means 3 wide receivers and a tight end a lot. And that's where you have to have 5 receivers active on game day, maybe 6 when it comes to NWI, who plays special teams, and somebody else who might be your punt returner or kick returner with the new rules, right? So you're going to have active receivers because you're going to need fresh bodies, because the offense is something we haven't seen the Tennessee Titans do since Mike Heimerdinger was here in 2003. And so here, again, to finish my point, you're drafting for 2025, 26, 27, and 2024. You can get an inside linebacker.
Can't you do that next year?
No, because next year DeAndre Hopkins is gone, and you don't want to be having Will Levis create a brand new relationship with the wide receiver going into year 3 for Will Levis when you want to win the damn division. I want to get ahead of it. I want to be prepared. I want to have Will Levis gain a relationship with Calvin Ridley, a top 38 receiver, and DeAndre Hopkins to grow this year and to go for it in year 3 when D-Hop moves on. And so you're not feeling the loss of the veteran in D-Hop as much by bringing in.
That's why you're going to go buy another one. You're going to go buy another free agent wide receiver next year, and you're going to draft one.
I'd rather draft one now so you can have the Cincinnati Bengals growth of you have young players on rookie contracts like they did with Burrow, with Chase, with Higgins. At some point, it's going to come to a head, but you've got to fill out this roster in other ways. And I want this wide receiver to grow with Will Levis in a good way. And doing it behind Hopkins and Ridley both for 1 year makes 2025 even better.
And all I'm saying is those actions are telling the world that your first round wide receiver pick, Treylon Burks, is dead weight.
Okay. I don't care. I'm not trying to base my 2025 through 2027 on Treylon Burks' feelings.
No, you're not basing that range of years. You're basing this year. It's a singular year decision because Treylon Burks is either going to be adequate and improve and stabilize to get another year, and he'll be on the roster for 2 more years, and then you'll move off of him. And now you have a piece that has been building, or he'll be the same guy that he has been the first 2 years and won't make that leap. Treylon Burks has the attributes as a player and as a position player to play in this league. He has not shown that based on his injury. I am not a Treylon Burks fan. Don't get me wrong. I'm just positioning this. If you do draft in the first 2 rounds of this draft, Treylon Burks is dead to you. And
okay, I'm okay with that.
But you start. I asked you that to start, and you said no. And so now I think you are coming around saying yes.
I'm not going to completely shut the door on him. If Treylon Burks,
if you're drafting a first round wide receiver, you are.
I think
if you're drafting Rome Odunze, Treylon Burks is useless.
Yeah, but again, I feel like contractually, Treylon Burks isn't going anywhere this year unless the Titans trade him. And I don't know who's going to pick up the phone and say, yeah, I'll take him. What draft pick do you want? He has 0 trade value to me. He can't stay healthy or catch a football when he's on the field. Are 2 terrible things for a wide receiver to have on their resume. And Treylon Burks has both of them strongly in bold, big font. And he's on the roster. You can't cut him, just like it's hard to cut Caleb Farley right now because of the first round contract. So you're going to have to live with it for a year. But I would rather guard against it. I'm not relying on Burks to do anything. And so I'm going to move forward and plan my roster over multiple years with somebody that I believe that I draft. Because remember, who drafted Treylon Burks? Nobody who's still in the building. Nobody. Not a single, not an assistant coach, not an assistant to an assistant coach. Nobody. There might be a scout left from that 2022 draft period. So that's where I don't care about Treylon Burks. I am going to draft for Will Levis and the long-term window of this next 3 to 4 years. And I think drafting an offensive lineman and a wide receiver in the first 3 rounds is a must for this team. If you exit with just 7 and just 38, it better be a tackle and a wideout, flip-flopping whichever way you want to go, but you got to have those two. If you pick up another pick, great, but you still got to have a wide receiver in that mid spot.
But the mock draft tells you that that's difficult. If you trade out, I think that's the lesson that we're learning in the show is that if you trade back, you are possibly trading outside of all of the valued wide receivers.
So here, all right. So let me just, I think.
So you can't have your cake and eat it too in that
Sure. So here's the hard thing. Because I said if you get Alt, Neighbors, or Dunze at 7, I'm automatically giving this class a B because of what that player is at 7. It's easier to check multiple boxes if you trade back in the first round because you're still going to get a pretty solid offensive lineman in the middle of that first round.
I don't want to do that.
It's a risk. But
I will say I'll put that in my fear box. I don't want that to happen, Austin. You earned the top 10 pick. So you earned it by losing a ton of games and having empty butts in seats.
So I'm going to
screw it up and not draft a possible generational talent at the top of this draft at a position that's not quarterback. 4 out of the 7 could all go to one position that you don't need, leaving math. I don't do it on the show, but I'm doing it now. 4 plus 3 equals 7. So that means you are getting a top 3 player in this draft at 7. Don't trade it away.
I'm with you. But again, like I think it's a
don't do it.
I think, you open your maps and you got a destination. There might be a 1 minute difference in 2 ways. Which is the most enjoyable way for you to go? Right. There might
drafting a top 3 player in the draft at 7.
And so again, I don't disagree with that. That's why I think this draft is so fascinating.
No, but that's why it pushes on both sides. Cause you're if you trade in the second, I don't think you're going to get the wide receiver that you're seeking.
And this is what I'm saying. And I haven't got
now you don't draft a wide receiver.
I haven't got a chance to say it yet. If it's easier to check multiple boxes by trading the 7th pick than it is to check multiple boxes by trading the 38th pick. Does that make sense? So if you trade 7, you can get an offensive lineman in the teens. Hold on. You still have 38 and you have a mid-40s pick to get another offensive lineman, one of those wide receivers in that early to mid-second round that is that window for those prospects. So that's where I'm saying if you're going by my rules of you must get a wide receiver and a tackle in the first 3 rounds, then trading back to 13 and getting Fashanu or getting Fuaga or Fa'utanu from Washington, and then you take Lad McConkey at 38, and then you take Kingsley from BYU, who's Penei Sewell's cousin. Okay, now you're checking boxes. You might not have blue chip Joe Alt, but you get blue chip Bill Callahan coaching the other guys.
Oh, God.
I'm just
saying. If I hear that, kill me. Shoot me in the face if I hear that one more time. That Daddy Bill is this genie. He's this magic genie that's going to turn that Dylan Radin's into an unbelievable player. Like, yes, he could improve the offensive line, but don't sit here and say that he is just the next coming of Jesus. Come on. Like, I'm out on that. I can't hear it anymore.
I didn't say that.
I will say this. You have a singular box that you have to check, though. of all boxes of any box that you have that is unchecked, there's one box that you must check. And you have an opportunity in the top 3 players at a position that you need. You can check said box. That's what I'm coming to the table with. Don't trade your ass back for more picks. Don't do that. That's stupid.
Look, I think
you don't want to be drafting 7th overall ever again in Brian Callahan's history. You're done with it. You don't want it.
Look, hilarious rant on that. And
it's
people
true.
Look, this is what makes the Bill Callahan caveat to this draft so interesting. People are like, Bill Callahan can't polish a turd. You're not drafting a turd tackle at 13 or 14 or at 38 or 45.
I'm not saying Bill Callahan's not a good coach. I'm not. He can't win a Super Bowl game in against Tampa Bay in 2022. He can't do that. But I do think he's a good coach. I just don't think that he is the matchmaker. The real player. I'm not trying to say that either. I'm not going to do things because my sole belief in him elevating all of the Titans offensive linemen.
All right, we have so many super chats that we got to get to and shade, and Zach and I have a meeting at 9:30. So King VC, King of the Like, hit that like button. We're getting closer to 100 on each platform that we have to get to every day this week. So shout out to King VC for that. Rashid says unban Luman. Luman is not banned. We can move on from that one. Luman just wants to believe that he's banned, but he is absolutely not banned. Andre has a couple super chats, says, I'm still Neighbors' first choice and flip-flop on a Dunze over Alt from what I said. He likes to trade back in the second to get a third rounder, not getting a wide receiver in 3 picks he does not like. Like that kind of goes along with the overall conversation that we've had. Andre again comes in and says, if they trade back from 7 with Alt, Neighbors, and a Dunze on the board, I'm breaking the TV in my garage. It doesn't work. Take the home run player, damn it. Well, Andre, if you were really mad, you'd break the TV that did work. Stevie says, I would trade back and get Alt.
That's true.
Yeah. It's easy to break the one that doesn't work. Stevie says, I would trade back and get Alt at 8, 9, or 10. Maybe that's
he's gone, bud.
I mean, look,
were you going to trade one spot? I mean, I guess it's been done before.
It's the Bears come up from 9 to 7 to get Roma Dunze after Neighbors goes 6. The Falcons take Dallas Turner at 8, and then boom, Joe Alt's there at 9. That's how that domino falls. It would be fine. Totally cool. What are you going to get for moving back 2 spots? Maybe
the Chargers draft in that situation?
JJ McCarthy goes to 5.
The Giants draft?
Millie Neighbors. That's what you said. JJ McCarthy goes 5. Neighbors goes 6. Adunze with the Bears at 7. Titans slide back to 9. I mean, I just went through it all.
Wow.
Yeah. And then TLG says, as a fan, I feel okay with whatever the front office does. Draft analysts are wrong all the time, and we get too hung up on these names. We repeatedly hear only good players at their position. Look, I think, it's part of the draft. Draft analysts are passionate about this and are trying to do the best they can possibly do with their evaluations, plus trying to predict what 32 front offices are going to do. It's an impossible exercise, but it's very fun.
Yeah, it's impossible. And, we could sit here, and this is why this is why it's fun, right? It's because we don't know what's going to happen. And the one thing that we do know is that the draft is going to be live. Last year, if you could have sat there and said that the Houston Texans were going to take CJ Stroud and Will Anderson in back-to-back picks, I was standing literally 10 feet from the stage. Everybody's looking around like, oh my God, what is going on? This thing just started, right? So that is the love of when the draft actually gets here. Now we're just trying to figure out what we don't know. We don't know what Brian Callahan and Rand Carthon feel about Traylon Burks and Kyle Phillips. We don't know that. We don't know how much they value a left tackle at number 7 overall. We don't know how much they value a brand new wide receiver coming in here and helping Will Levis. We don't know how much they value more picks because they don't have a 3rd round pick. We don't know. But I think we've talked all very somewhat logical, right, of we know the targeted positions. We know the boxes that need to be checked. We know the picks that they currently have. And then we know the needy teams around the Titans that traditionally move up for quarterbacks.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Kane says, why do people continue to debate tackle over wide receiver when the head coach literally said, all things being equal, I prefer someone who score points? That's the amazing part about having a new coach with an offensive mind that's not Mike Vrabel to draft in the top. Like, you look at the Titans' first-round picks with Mike Vrabel as the head coach, Rashawn Evans, Jeffrey Simmons, then you go Isaiah Wilson late, then Caleb Farley, Traylon Burks, and then Peter Skoronski.
And Traylon Burks was only drafted because they traded away A.J. Brown.
Yes, yeah. So you kind of had to do it, but that's just that's the difference in this year. Darian says, I want to assess Levis with time. I can wait on the weapons, not expecting playoff next year anyway, which that's a fair comment. I think assessing Will Levis with time means getting him a really solid wide receiver prospect in the top 3 rounds this year to assess him with time over multiple years. I know Zach kind of disagrees on that overall. Zachary Smith, hopefully not the Ohio State former coach, says, can we please draft a left tackle so Zach doesn't throw his camera out the window and boycott A to Z? I don't think you'd do that.
I don't think I'd do that.
You would throw your camera that no longer works. Your broken camera you would throw.
Yeah, I'd pull an Andre.
Yeah. And then Andre's back. He goes, don't trade Japanese A5 Wagyu for Angus.
That does make sense.
All right. Whew, lots of stuff today on the show. It's been a really good show so far. Let's end it with some shade. As always, shout out Wilson County Hyundai. Make them a part of your new car buying process. Go see them in Lebanon and say hey to Payne Bone Force while you're there. Save money on that new ride with WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Zach, it is shade time. I know you have a shade. I'm going to go ahead and get my shade out of the way as more shade comes in through the chat on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. By the way, we need you guys to like the show. We're getting closer and closer on Facebook, YouTube. We're over King VC's 100 mark on that. So Facebook's got a little bit of work to do. My shade, Zach, is I do my grocery shopping via delivery service app. It just saves me a lot of time. It's a lot easier for me. And I like it. I've been doing that for, I think, right at 2 full years, like 24, 25 consecutive months. At times, I'll go and get some small things when I need it for specific reasons. But the main order, buy the delivery app. Some things at the grocery store don't need to be measured by weight. They need to be measured by number of items. Nobody's looking for 2 pounds of apples. I want 5 apples. Nobody's asking for 1.5 pounds of bananas. I would like 4 bananas because I don't use apples and bananas in that way, or oranges or potatoes. I want the certain amount of potatoes, apples, bananas, because I eat 1 apple a day. And if I ask for 2.5 pounds of apples, depending on the size of those apples, that could be 6 apples, or it could be like 3 apples like I got yesterday. They're big ass apples, but that doesn't change my daily apple output. I'm not going to eat 1/2 pound of apple and then, okay, that's enough apple and put it in the fridge. No, I'm going to finish the apple. So why are we purchasing apples and bananas and oranges and tomatoes by weight? We use them by number of item.
Perception, $5.99 versus $6, right? The grocery store,
for me, like, I don't care how much they weigh. I just need the number. I get the price is determined on the weight, but I want to be able to say in my app, I need 5 apples regardless of how much they weigh. That is my shade.
I eat an apple a day as well, either an apple or banana. So I go seasonal. I'm a seasonal fruit dude. When grapes are in season, I eat grapes at lunch. When apples are in season, I eat apples. Bananas. I actually have Googled what seasonality, and I'm a chameleon. Shift.
I've got a Tennessee Farmer's Almanac chart that shows me all of that stuff. Magnet.
Peach season. Peach season's about to get in here.
That's right. And then also, Zach, you'll like this because yesterday it's allergy season for me. Frozen grapes are my allergy go-to snack. Put some grapes in the freezer last night. I know you're a big frozen grape.
What does that prevent allergies?
It just, when you have an allergy attack, you need something like cold.
Okay, so it has no like medical reference.
No, it just makes me feel better. It's because it's like a cold, juicy, like icicle grape.
They're watching grapes are out of season right now, though.
Yeah, I know, but still, this is my grape season because it's pollen season. I'm actually doing very good. You'll be proud of me because I haven't talked about my allergies yet. But allergy shots are working.
Here we are.
Look, I mean, but I'm doing well.
But I'm now actually took my first pill of Zyrtec today. I take it for about 2 months, April, May, and I hopefully quit it in June. That's my allergy season. But my eyes are itching, and that's when you know. Jason Martinez says, throwing shade at people who think that the wide receiver position is more important this year than the left tackle position. Tannehill and Mariota both suffered from PTSD, seeing ghosts because they weren't protected. Missing on Levis because he is broken would be a huge setback on this team. Top 10 left tackles hit way more than wide receivers. So, Jason.
We have 2 articles on our website, A2ZSports.com, that talks about top 10 left tackle hit rate and wide receiver left top 10 hit rate. So you can go check that out.
Let's see, shade on Chris Frazier so we can complete this Tuesday. Big Ten Jeff says shade on people who think Burks is worth more than a 7th rounder. Yeah, you're not going to get much from him. Hill says shade is on Angel Hernandez. How that man has a job in Major League Baseball is mind-boggling. Shade on allergies.
Nobody else wants to do it. Yeah. So
Danny's with you. Shade on people who don't understand SNL makes jokes. SNL, I don't think is funny. I think it has a 7% hit rate, which means I don't do math on air, but that's a 93% not hit rate. I think SNL sucks, to be honest. Shade on people, and people who like SNL love SNL and will defend SNL. SNL blows. I'm on record for that. It's not funny. Like, not funny. Caleb says shade on people who do not know what the yield side means. That can be dangerous at times. Andre, shade on me for thinking I could stay up for 24 hours and drink too much tequila at 43. Think I'll be okay. Yeah, that is a cruising for a bruising. Throwing shade the WNBA not paying their players for 6-figure salary. Yeah, looking at the salaries of those, but if a business doesn't make money, they can't pay their employees more money. Like, it's logic. It's business logic. Now, you hope that I definitely think that it is trending a better direction because of Caitlin Clark and some of those figures, but it's a business, you know. All right, I'll get to my shade as I'm scrolling down. We had a lot of shade coming here, which was good. Here's another shade. Anthony says, shade on parents who complain about their kid playing in a 7-under baseball game 2 innings into the first game. Parents and bad coaches ruin the best time with kids. I think that has happened for like ever, right? Parents getting upset at
youth sports parents, games. The worst.
All right. Here's my shade.
Last thing on that. Sorry. Yell at Angel Hernandez. Yell at professional umpires. Don't yell at youth sports umpires. Okay, that is all.
You can razz umpires, but like, there's a line.
Yeah, well, I mean,
when you cross the line as a parent, now you're done.
Well, look, but youth sports
you can razz. Look, refs need to be shaken up a little bit. You can't have them just running rampant with bad calls. But there's a line. There's a line.
But that might be a 15-year-old kid who had to get dropped off by his parents to go umpire 4 games on Saturday to make $20 an hour. So, again,
study, and the organization needs to help that 15-year-old kid make better calls.
Yeah, but again, 45-year-old dad that might or might not have a cooler of beer in the parking lot does not need to be yelling at 15-year-old umpire.
Beer is off limits at kids' games. If you are a deadbeat dad, if you're drinking beer at your 8-year-old,
just saying that it happens. All right, so go on. Sorry.
All right, here's my shade. And this is something that is, I mean, it is eye-opening and haunting. Go to HBO and watch The Truth versus Alex Jones. And we all have heard of Alex Jones. That guy's a POS. Google what that means. You'll understand what it is. That guy is awful. He is miserable. I liken him to, like, as an analogy, like when you're at recess and you're in grade school and a kid throws a rock at a kid and then the teacher comes over and says, who threw that rock? Alex Jones is the kid that didn't throw the rock. He tossed the rock. So he's just going to lie. He's going to lie. And he's just going to continue to lie. It is baffling. And it's hard to watch because it has to do with the Sandy Hook murders and him thinking it's a conspiracy. And that's a whole nother level to it. But I did not realize what a bad human being Alex Jones truly was. If you watch this documentary, you will. That guy needs to get off the face of this planet, or at least the internet, to stop influencing people in the most horrific ways. And then I'll throw shade on another group of people, and those group of people actually listen to what Alex Jones has to say. The guy is a loon, and he needs to be banned from the internet. That is my shade. If you watch that documentary and you disagree with me, go seek medical attention.
There you go. I have not watched the doc, but I've heard about it, and I don't know if I'm going to watch the doc because I think I've heard enough. So, and then also, I've already learned my shade for next Tuesday because we don't have time today, but I have another example of something that needs to stop on the internet that I think people are encouraging. So that'll be a full week shade tease for next week, but that'll do it for us on this Tuesday. Zach and I are already late for our 9:30 meeting, but good content on this show. So make sure you hit that like button to wrap up the show on Facebook, on YouTube. Facebook, we're close. We're close, just a few away. So if you're watching the show and you haven't hit the like button yet, please do that for us. It goes a long way for us. We'll catch you guys tomorrow on a Wednesday morning. Buck Rising back after his quick vacation for prime time tonight. So he'll see you guys later tonight, and we'll see you tomorrow morning at 8 Central. Appreciate it as always.
Adios.